you see what Larry Johnson said on his Twitter?
Yeah.
What'd you think about that? You want to talk about somebody going
We're
all
not
out.
ready for that conversation. I DM'd him, and I'm like, hey, Larry, I'm ready for this conversation. I want to talk to him about that. I DM'd him. I don't know if he'll reply. I sent him a few videos I've made with, like, George Papadopoulos and Baltimore, and I'm like, hey, I'm trying to tell stories that aren't being told. Like, I'd love to sit with you for an hour.
Does he have open DMs?
He has open DMs.
Wow.
Yeah, I just slid right in there. But, dude, how wild is that? And him just saying it like that, like... it seems like that's like the underlying theme with everything. Everything that we look at that's higher than us is like somehow connected to like satanic pedophile cultist people.
For everybody that doesn't know, Larry Johnson was a long-time Kansas City Chiefs running back. I'm not a college football fan, not because I don't care about it. Well, I guess I don't. I just never had time to really get into it and form any special bonds with a football team in college. But I definitely paid attention to Larry Johnson when he was at Penn State. So I knew all about him, and I always used to be like, it was fun watching him when he was in the NFL. And he's been out of the NFL for a while now. And here is what he did. He fired off a series of tweets seemingly out of nowhere. And he was on social media, and he was talking about the supposed effeminate agenda in the NFL and the NBA. And he says that high-ranking Freemasons are involved. Let me put on some creepy music for this. And Fleccas, you interrupt me whenever the hell you want. I just want to get everybody up to speed with what he was saying, okay? Mm-hmm. So Johnson, who was a premier running back in Kansas City Chiefs from 2003 to 2009, fired off a series of tweets. Listen to this. There is an effeminate agenda going on amongst the NBA and NFL elite, peddled by high-ranking Masons and handlers to indoctrinate the heterosexual sports world without them knowing, for the buying power of the LGBTQ community, he started. But we are not ready to have that conversation yet. He goes on, and he says he explained what he meant using bullet points in his next two tweets. He said October is LGBTQ History Month. I thought Pride Month. Well, why do they have two? They have 2 months, Fleccas?
I thought Pride was July.
June, I thought.
June, yeah, June. And I think breast cancer is October.
Yeah, that's October. The breast cancer, that's the pink month.
Yeah.
Well, either way, he says the NFL players wear pink that month. They want you to think breast cancer, but they show you they don't care much about women. Look at the treatment of domestic violence issues. Okay, wow. He goes on to say, Twitter users quickly pounced on the tweets and accused Johnson of prejudice against people with different sexual orientations. But he defended himself.
We don't have this conversation. This guy hates gay people. It's like, yeah,
don't look.
Debate there. End the debate there, huh?
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Yeah. So Johnson went on to say the following: Nothing I said I hate gays. My understanding goes far beyond flesh, but an agenda that's really to go after the homophobic sports fan who had an uproar when two men kissed, he tweeted. I could care less about the flesh. I'm noticing a playbook used on the masses. He later added, I love to see the LGBTQ community band together and come to a common cause when it comes to me. Now do that with the defects of your own community. Pedophiliac priests and politicians. Show them that same energy. But a kingdom divided against itself will not stand.
We got to interview Larry Johnson.
Dude, yeah. What you know what we got to do? We got to find a way to get him in New York. You got to fly out to New York too, and we all have to be in the same studio together. That would be amazing.
Sleepover and
yeah, quite frankly, sleepover. It'll be the most manly sleepover ever.
That is next level, and the media will never touch that. So it's like I could film him for an hour and put it on and kind of get it out there. And I don't know. Do you think someone kills me if I do that?
I don't know, man, but the thing here is that what he threw on out there requires a very, very deep understanding of the material, and he really only put out a synopsis of what needs to be, what would require to be a pretty interesting breadth of knowledge, and I would love to pick his knowledge on what he's seen, what he's been able to put together based on what he's seen, and because it's one thing to say, you know what, there's something going on here. We got all this Gillette razor commercials, and we got all this weird anti-male stuff going on, and I can feel it in my gut that there's an agenda at play. It's another thing altogether when you bring out Freemasonry and pedophiles, elite powerful pedophiles in entertainment and the church and in government. He's got to at least have a pretty interesting private library at home.
Yeah, that's someone I want to talk to. There's two people coming up I want to talk to. It's him, and there's a guy who thinks OJ didn't do it, and he's like a really world-renowned detective, and I want to talk to him too.
Well, did you know, speaking on that, I know
Have you ever looked into the OJ story, like the other side of it?
No, I didn't.
Want to hear it in 30 seconds?
Please let me know.
All right, so apparently OJ, Nicole, and Goldman were swingers. So people think it's like, oh, he walked in on like her cheating on him and then got mad and killed him. They were swinging, and that wasn't like an issue. OJ's son had like really big mental problems and had like a journal and was like, this is the year of the knife. If anyone crosses me, they're getting the knife. And then the year before was arrested for assaulting someone with a knife. And he has like mental problems. And Goldman,
how old was his son at that point?
I think he's like 17 and like a big kid. Like I think he was like a teenager.
Okay.
And then Goldman was a martial arts guy, and he had like all these broken like scratches, cuts. Like he really fought back to the intruder. And OJ had no defensive wounds. So apparently, what happened was the kid was working at a restaurant. Nicole and Goldman were supposed to go there for dinner, and they canceled on him. And because he's a little crazy, he went berserk. And he like killed him, and then OJ came home, I think found that and got the son out of town. And the white Bronco drive-away was him giving his son time to get out of town. And when OJ lawyered up, the first person he lawyered up was his son, then himself second.
Right. That's real about the son getting lawyered up first?
Yeah, lawyered up first, and then the defensive wounds is huge. OJ had nothing on him, and Goldman had like cut knuckles, like stuff like he was scratching, like he just wasn't, Was the son, this was a son that he had with Nicole Brown? I don't know. It's OJ's son. I don't know if it's Nicole's the mom or not, but it's OJ's son. She's not. Actually, she's not, I don't think.
O.J. Simpson has been released from a Nevada prison. He left a short while ago on parole after serving 9 years of a 9 to 33-year sentence for kidnapping and armed robbery.
Hey, Twitter world, this is yours truly.
It's a crazy theory.
Yeah, and this guy's a detective, and he's got like all these awards, and he solved all these cold cases, and he's like a really smart guy, I think from Texas or something, and he like has this all bullet pointed out, but no one will ever talk to him. So I'm trying to get that story out there too.
Wow. Well, listen. Whenever you complete that one, I'd be interested in reading it for sure.
Hey, Twitter world. For years, people have been able to say whatever they want to say about me with no accountability.
Look at this shit. O.J. Simpson just messaged me.
But now I get to challenge a lot of that BS and set the record straight.
Look what his ass sent me. Like, for real, dude? That's crazy.
It's amazing, especially how quickly they can put up counterfeit sites. Anyway, we'll deal with that.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting.
Going on from Larry Johnson and the balls he has to have to go out and say stuff like that and put it out there so proudly. It was a couple of months ago. It's funny because I was talking to somebody. I was responding to some show email the other day, and I had brought up Prodigy from Mobb Deep. You ever hear about him?
No.
Now, Prodigy from Mobb Deep, before he died, he was really hell-bent on exposing elite pedophile rings.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've seen the music videos and stuff, yeah.
I've got a little bit over here. I want to put on out. Listen to this. This is from worldtruth.tv. I've kept all this here. One half of the legendary hip-hop duo Mobb Deep suddenly died last month after attempting to expose Illuminati sex rituals. Okay, this was a couple of years ago. Rapper prodigy, real name Albert Johnson, died on June 20th after he was hospitalized while performing the Art of Rap tour in Las Vegas with Havoc, Ghostface Killer, Onyx, KRS-One, and Ice-T. KRS-One, have you ever listened to him speak?
No.
Fleccas, write this one down, man. KRS-One. You want listen to him talk about Freemasons and the Illuminati, and he's another one. Listen to him. That guy is. If you can get an interview with KRS-One, you would actually bump up another notch on Mount Olympus for me.
Hell yeah.
But either way, they cause of death is yet to be determined. I think he was a hemophiliac or he has sickle cell or something like that. But either way, he was talking a lot about this stuff, about exposing the Illuminati and elite pedophilia rings, and he wrote a lot of notes when he was in prison too. Called out Jay-Z and a few other things. You got to look into. In fact, I'm going to take this. I'm going to plop it right into the notes over here too. So that'll be that. So you'll have that to read too. Wow, what a crazy world, man.
Yeah, and it's like everyone's just trying to like warn us a little bit. They're like yelling like, hey, like, they're doing really weird stuff back here. And it's like, don't listen to them. Keep looking at the car wreck of a hit every time in football. Like, don't ignore what's going on behind the screens. Here we are. Someone's got to talk about it.
Yeah. And you know what it is? I think it's getting more and more. We're getting deeper and deeper, and it's getting darker and darker because, of course, all the surface level issues, there's nothing to it. And you have to wonder, what the hell is this being used as a shield for? And you and I have come to this conclusion, I think, a couple of calls now. It really always seems to come back around to that we are dancing on the head of a pin here. We're talking about always, when you distill it down to its simplest form, the battle between good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And earlier in the show, you mentioned the Peru child sacrifice grave. It's like, are we still dealing with the same battle that people dealt with back then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And it's like, I think the people naturally should get along, but the misunderstandings and the conflicts, if you trace each one back, like I'd say most of the time it gets traced back to like someone acting maliciously and manipulating, and because they're tied to the satanic child pedophile sex ring stuff. So that sucks. Every problem we have is like manipulated and contrived. Man versus woman, black versus white, all these things, gay versus straight. It's like the outrage is manufactured, so we don't pay attention to what's going on behind the curtain.
Oh, I believe it. I'm right there with you, my friend.
Like 2008, 2010, they were doing the roasts, and these people were saying the worst things I've ever heard anyone say on camera, looking right at the American people, and just did it. And it was fine. And then this comes out, and it's like, oh, it's worth skipping, like it's offensive, and it's like I don't understand. I think to ruin everyone's life, we should just re-release those roasts, the Comedy Central roast of, and just re-release everyone's monologues and just ruin their lives because they said way worse stuff. It's crazy how much the scale has gone in the last few years. That's why I think there's an opportunity for the right to save comedy. If we can save comedy on the culture side and offer like a politically not correct arena for free speech and funny jokes, we can like save stand-up and then like backdoor our way into comedy and through the culture, and the right wing can be the new non-PC.
That's it, man. The culture.
We have to. We can just find 10 comedians that don't care about politics or don't at least hate Trump and be like, hey, like let's do a show, or like, hey, like we'll listen to you. We'll fill your seats. We won't get offended when you make a joke about a gay person.
I'd always had the nagging voice in my head that you can't do all that crap, all that neurosis that anybody brings with them. It was the first time I ever heard some champion voice saying, listen, you asshole, are you going to be glory days your whole life? Or are you going to try this? Go do it. Don't freak out for 8 minutes and see what happens. So, it just comes down to that. I would tell any kid out there, the worst thing you can do is put fear in the air. It's like when you used to watch the dating game and the guy was giving a bad answer and you had to walk out of the room because it was making you so uncomfortable. Right. Say anything. Stay in the moment. If it's eating it, concede that it's eating it, and you got a better chance.
The guy tells me, like, what to do is start stand-up, and I go, don't wait, Because how you wait. Because when I first started doing stand-up, I waited 6 months, and I figured it all out, what I'd say, and I sucked.
Yeah.
So you may as well just go.
Yeah, jump in and find out.
Perfection paralysis. Like you're waiting for it to all be perfect. It's like you're just sitting there. No, I can't do it.
It's funny. I remember at
yet.
Saturday Night Live, Lauren said, I said, can I be on the show? And they're like, you got to do 2 characters and 2. You got to write 2 sketches, 2 characters, and 2 impressions. I said, well, I can't do any of those.
What we're doing right now is. It's just like Andrew Breitbart said, the politics are downstream from the culture. So you have to fight the culture war if you ever want to see something healthier happening in the halls of government for whatever that's worth. Because right now what you're seeing is politics trying to enforce itself and its legitimacy in the culture. And it's becoming one and the same, and that marriage is really just killing everything. It's sucking the joy out of everything we used to be able to escape to. When you can't even go, everybody used to say, oh, the opiate of the masses. There's sports, religion, whatever the hell it is, bread and circus. When you can't even turn on a football game to escape for 3 hours, even that used to get people shit. Well, I don't watch that distraction. You can't even go in there anymore. Sometimes it's great to be distracted. So, yes, I think it would be great to see a little bit of a resurgence of very, very bold comedy. That's
a great point you made about the pressure valve, and it's like the release from society is sports. Maybe it's comedy, and then you take away comedy, there's no release, then it's like painkillers, Like there's going to be something. Like if you take away all the fun in real life stuff, then you have to get synthetic drugs.
Yeah, man, we need a blowhole.